All right, good late morning, everybody. Wall Street Jesus here. Saturday Sweep Series. We're open to the public today. So, welcome, everybody. Good to see you on the Saturday Sweep Series. And for those of you who may not be aware, we do actually a Saturday webinar every Saturday for members of the Steam Room and private Twitter. And then once a month, we open it up to everybody on social media. And we get a chance to talk to everybody, show everybody what we're looking at, what we saw for the past week, and what we're keeping our eyes on going forward. A couple quick things I want to bang out, as I usually do on these open webinars. If anybody has, let me get this out of the way early, because then just in case anybody has any questions. If anybody has or is curious about some of the lingo, some of the strategy, you're likely not going to be familiar with everything that comes out of my mouth if this is your first webinar here, okay? If you go to wallstreetjesus.com, you could get the link off my Twitter, or it's very easy, WALLST, Jesus.com. There's a strategy section right over here. And if you click on that, some very short, quick, easy to read blogs. You can write through it, read right through them right quick, and you become a little more familiar, okay, about generally what we're looking for on a day-to-day basis, how we try to utilize the edge out of the information, etc. Okay, and if you do find it interesting and want to take a little deeper look, we have kept the 3-day free trial, no credit card required. You get access to, let me find my way around here. Nope, that's not it. This room, okay? So you're going to get access to this room, bunch of traders trading off the flow, trading different strategies, the tote boards showing some of the size orders, giving you a general idea of sentiment out there. I'm on audio video throughout the day, giving play-by-play and commentary, sharing my feelings on the action that's coming in, what looks interesting to me, what doesn't look interesting to me, and all that jazz. All right. So you get 3 days, no credit card. The only thing you won't be able to do is post and communicate with others, okay? Because we had a nice handful of riffraff that just made it really too noisy. They would just come in on trials and push their stuff, strut their stuff. We get enough of that already on some of these fly-by-nighters. All right. So other than that, oh, and the only other thing you won't have access to in the on the trial is private Twitter. But if you do sign up for a membership, you get private Twitter included in the membership. All right. We also offer private Twitter separate. We spun it off its own entity. If, again, you're looking for a little more than the free trial, become a little more familiar with stuff. If you can't be in front of your desk at all times, if maybe the price structure is something not affordable for you, we spun off private Twitter into a separate entity. So for $59.99 a month, you will get access to private Twitter. And basically, private Twitter is all the real-time action, open interest, sentiment updates, all that stuff. The big difference between the room and private Twitter, the audio, video, the commentary, trading amongst other traders, right? If you're looking for a new strategy, you got Lucci in the room trading his thing. So obviously there's a lot of perks to being in the room. But if you're just interested in private Twitter, we offer that now, $59.99 a month. You go right here, products and private Twitter, or you could get the link off my Wall Street Jesus Twitter handle. Also, Lucci is doing another course, right? Tape reading course. So if you guys have an interest, I don't know the deals. They throw some deals here and there, a couple of weeks, especially as it gets closer to the course. If you're interested and you're looking for more information, just hit up Lucci. Hit up Lucci on Twitter. You can email me or Lucci, right? Wall Street Jesus at sayinglucci.com or Lucci at sayinglucci.com. But you know where to find us. All right. But generally, you could get information, Same thing like the private Twitter. You go to products and master course, top one right there. All right. On that note, let me just get into very quickly, because I promised I would do it. Anybody, and I have to do this more because, that's Twitter. You get new followers. They may not be familiar with the terminology, talk about an edge. They have no idea what we're referring to. And it's this simple. If you follow me on my personal Wall Street Jesus Twitter, okay, and you're looking for the most efficient way, all right, you're looking for the easiest way to find value out of my Twitter feed, because basically what I do now on my regular Twitter, and I think this is best for followers, okay, not only, to keep, you can't give too much information because you got paying members, it's not right, but I'm not just using that as an excuse. I'm being legitimate here, telling you that the new way I go about my personal Twitter is better for you guys who are looking to get a feel on how more so sweeper activity can be a very powerful tool, no matter how or what style of trading you're doing currently. Okay. And so it's this simple. All right. And I'll keep it as simple as I can because it's easier that way. When I see a legitimate wise guy sweeper, okay, and my definition of wise guy sweeper, even though you got more and more people trying to use that terminology, but is basically something, it's an aggressive buyer that there's a higher probability of creating momentum in the underlying. Okay, that's the only definition you have to know if you're following me on my regular free Wall Street Jesus Twitter handle. Okay, all the other details mean nothing to you. All right, so now you can take my information, right? I alert you to a wise guy sweep in, I don't know, ABBV. Okay, and you can go pull up an option chain and look at the flow, get an idea of what they're playing. But what I realize, especially some of the newer people who may not be familiar with the whole sweeper game and all that stuff, you're only going to get into further trouble when you're trying to add more information than what I'm providing. Okay, what I'm telling you is this: when I alert that there is a sweeper detected in ABBV, okay, the most simple way is to pull up an intraday chart on ABBV. Okay, if you're a day trader, the likelihood is you're going to see some momentum instantly. All right, so in other words, if you're pulling up a chart on ABBV and I tell you there's sweeper activity detected coming in, more than likely you're going to see a reaction start to happen in the underlying, in the stock. All right, so now again, I don't know who is following me on Twitter. I don't know if you're day trading, you're swing trading, you're a trend trader, you're investing, you're shorting. I have no clue what the hell you guys are doing. All right. But the information that I'm shooting out to you guys is very simple, cut and dry, that there's a high probability of momentum coming into the underlying. That's what that alert is telling you guys. All right. And obviously what I do with private Twitter and in the room, we're digging deeper into that action. Okay. So we're looking to see if more buying is coming in. We're looking to see if he's rolling out of other positions, right? We're looking to see if the size of the sweeper activity is anything noteworthy in comparison to what the name usually catches. So that's what we're doing in the room. And that's obviously not the information I'm going to provide you on my regular Twitter account for several reasons. Not only just I'm keeping that information for members only, but time. Right? The easiest thing for me to do, if I see a sweep that likelihood is going to create some momentum, I can very easily just shoot it out to you guys on Twitter and StockTwits. All right. And what I realized from feedback from a lot of people over the years on Twitter, that's where the edge is for you guys. That's where you're gonna get a great feel of how this intel, how this information can be and play a big part, or be a potent tool in your trading arsenal. All right, even if you're swing trading. All right, and I'll give you an example. Let's say ABBV is a name you've been eyeing for an entry. You know, it's off a pullback, off consolidation. The stock's been dead, right? Dead. You don't know where you should pull the trigger because you don't want to get caught up in a web of consolidation, especially if you're playing options. My sweeper alert to you just told you that there's now a higher probability of that name starting to move. So if you were already eyeing ABBV for an entry at a consolidation, there's your heads up that now may be the time this thing is ready to go. All right, so you guys see how simple that outlook is, that way of looking at things are, okay? When you try to get more, and this is what traders do in general, they try to get more than the market's giving them, right? They try to get more than the information is providing, more of an edge than what the edge is good for. That's where players in this game get in trouble. But that's cut and dry simple. When you see an alert like that, that's what a higher probability of momentum, period. That's it. Case closed. All right. The rest is for you to figure out, okay, how's it look to me? Risk management. What am I looking to play? Okay. And like a lot of times I'll get on from some people who are just looking for more off my free Twitter. Well, you know, why don't you at least throw the month and the strikes out? Because again, that information only is going to get in the way from what I'm trying to show you guys. All right. If I'm shooting out that a sweeper's detected, I'm telling you that it was a legitimate wise guy sweep. Okay. Something that I look for to generate momentum in a name. And that's all you need to know. The rest is for you to point out. All right. And then on my Wall Street Jesus Twitter, you know, after hours on the weekend, I offer a little more commentary, right? I start to talk about names that have been catching action that may be setting up, or some sharp positioning by smarter money out there, accumulation type things. That's different. You know, I'm talking about these things during market hours in real time that I shoot out there. Hold on. Okay. This stuff. All right. Huya sweeper detected. Very simple. Okay. And that's what your impression should be off it. ABBV. This is another ABBV add-on telling you that there's more sweeper activity coming in. You know, this stuff. Okay. Amazon, sizable sweeper detected. Now, I don't care what anybody else is telling you about Amazon. This is it. It's going to 3,000 in 2 years and this and that. That's fine. But, you know, keep it. That's with them. With me, I gave you a heads up here off this tweet that there was the likelihood was there was momentum coming into Amazon right there and then. And because it was size, the probability probably was even higher than usual. Right? So you pull up a chart on Amazon, you see where she is, right? If you're day trading, that's all you're looking for is instant momentum to get in the middle of. And that's for you to decide, you know, whether it's a spot you want to look to take advantage of. I mean, Amazon had instant momentum. A lot of these things will have instant momentum. The million-dollar question that you'll never get the answer to is how long does the momentum last? And that varies and relies on so many other factors throughout the day that you and I don't have as much control over. I can't throw a blanket statement, you know, today, tomorrow, all sweepers will have a ton of momentum. It doesn't work that way. All right, so you find a way to manage your risk on swing trades. If you were looking at the name for an entry, you already have a plan, right? If you were looking at Amazon for an entry, and I just mentioned to you that there was a size bull sweeper, okay, you already had intentions of swinging Amazon. You probably had an idea of what month you were looking at, what strikes you were looking at. That's the proper way. You already figured that part out. You got the heads up that the momentum may start to kick in now. All right. Anybody new have any questions on any of this I just mentioned? Anybody new to the Wall Street Jesus feed or first time on a webinar that has any questions? Funny, I never get questions, and then I'll get questions on Twitter of what's a sweeper. We're good? All right, if you guys say so. Now we could get into some of the fun stuff. Let me put up ES. Okay. And one last thing, okay, just a heads up, because there's another thing that pisses me off. If the alert doesn't come from me, if I don't tell you there was a wise guy sweeper detected in the name, I don't want to hear about that sweeper that I didn't mention not showing momentum. Okay, because the likelihood is it probably wasn't a clean sweep. It was probably a block. It was probably tied. It was probably a gazillion other different things that you heard from somebody who's, picking off a scanner out there. And then you're going to come to me with the complaints and troll me just to bust my chops. All right, so if you don't hear the sweeper coming from or don't see it, I should say, coming from my feed, then don't ask me about it, please. I know that sounds rude, but it just gets annoying, It gets annoying. Well, what happened to that sweeper in XYZ? What sweeper in XYZ? Oh, I don't think you mentioned it, but somebody else was saying there was a ton of sweeper activity and the stock kept going lower. Nonsense like that. All right, so here is what we were looking at, okay? And this is what we do basically every week. We had finally some tug in the market, right? We had a little bit of pull, softened some of the sentiment out there, gave us a little wiggle room, right? A little weakness. We wish we had more. See, one thing you'll realize, and those of you members know, we look forward to weakness. That's where you want to get to in this game, all right? If you're bullish, you want to look forward to weakness. Okay, you don't want to be bullish on up days, and then as soon as there's some red and some selling in the market, all of a sudden your whole thesis changed and you're crawling under a rock. Okay. One thing we try to plant in everybody's head, and I work on planting it in my head to a fault every single day of my career, weakness is where the opportunity lies in bullish phases, in bull markets. All right. And we got a little bit of a pull off the following week that loosened things up. In other words, in simple English, as you guys know, we had a niner, which gave us a heads up, some exhaustion out there from buyers, right? We were seeing the flow kind of dry up, right? Same names, no new activity, and totally normal when you have a rally of this magnitude, okay? And then what happens is, once the market comes in, all right, if we're still in a bullish environment, buyers will show up. That's where they're looking for entries, right? All the smart money, they don't like to chase. Sometimes they're forced into chasing for performance, okay? Us as individual players in this game, we don't have to show names on our books, okay? We don't have to prove to clients we have exposure to certain things. All right, so that's where the opportunity lies, I think, for individual players, is that when you have some chase activity out there, and then those players are getting shaken out, that's where you want to look for buying to come in. That's where the sweeper activity, the option flow works its best. Okay, because again, in a bullish phase, when markets are going higher, the likelihood is we're going to see call flow no matter what. Okay, you're going to see people chasing. You're going to see players getting squeezed on the short side, and they got to sweep calls to cover their rear ends. All right, so when markets are heading higher, bullish activity is out there in the open is normal. What's more notable and what tells us more about a market is whether they show up off weakness or not, whether they show up out of consolidation or not. All right, and those are the things we want to keep an eye on going forward. And another thing we've been seeing that I think has helped hold this market up as a whole, we're starting to see that rotation at play again out there. All right, and it's been a little different where it's not long-lasting major rotation, but they go from group to group over the course of days, sometimes hours. You guys know, like, the transportation names of this pull really pulled, right? They were down like 11 out of 12 days, I think, the trannies off this pull. But, you had software names, you had biotech names, you had healthcare names that were holding up better, a lot better. And when buyers started to come in, right, those were the first things to start to turn around and move. I mean, some of them, were just ridiculous, like the ZS that haunts me every day of my life. All right, so the rotation is good. And the reason why it's good is when things need to breathe, like when we start to see sentiment on the short term get a little too hot, even though the market may pause, right? The market may stall or come in a bit. There's an opportunity out there that the money may start to rotate into some of the other laggard groups, some of the other groups that maybe didn't participate as a whole in the big move to the upside. All right, and even though, like, this week, for example, we ended the week pretty strong. A lot of people talking about exuberance out there Friday. I don't see it. I don't see it yet. I see a rally that stretched off the lows, but I don't see that exuberance that, January, what was it, 2018 exuberance. I don't see that. I don't see anything anywhere near that. All right, so there's a big difference. Can the market take a breather? Can the market come in? Can the market consolidate? Yeah, but that's nothing to be fearful of. I get a lot of people who ask me about put buying. Oh, do you see any put buying? Do you see any put buying? And I'm trying to stress to them, even if we see some put buying, don't think that's somebody out there trying to catch a big downside move. Okay? That could be somebody who wants to remain long and wants to protect their longs by buying some protection. All right, so that's nothing to get wrapped up all emotionally, psychologically, get all bearish, and then take you off your game in what I just told you. Being ready to fire when we do get that pullback and buyers show up. All right, so all in all, as a whole, things, and we've been talking about this for a while, this has been the first real rally. I don't care if it ends tomorrow, okay? In my eyes, in my opinion, for the trading style that a lot of us, the way we play, this has been the closest thing to a real rally off the lows, and we've seen in a long time. We talked about this a little bit last year, if you guys remember, on some of the other webinars. This rally off that panic attack volatility low, right? I don't even consider this a rally based off the flow and sweeper activity, if you ask me. This was one of the worst rallies I've seen. Why? You had 75% of the market in a bear market throughout this whole rally. That's not a rally, is it? You had to buy the same stocks, and that's what happened, right? People were tripping over each other to own the same names, because they were the only things going higher. If you stepped out of line and tried to buy anything else, you got hammered. The bear market tornado was ripping things apart as this market, believe it or not, made new highs. All right, but that's the stuff I get cautious about, and it's tough. It's tough because you have a market that just continues higher, and even though there's cautious signals out there, we're still trying to take advantage of the market rally. You know what I mean? Whether we're day trading or we're trying to be quicker, or you're still trying to take advantage of the rally because you see there's certain things going up every day. But in reality, that's what makes it so tough. Those are the true caution signs. When we see sweeper activity in, whatever it was at the time, Netflix, Facebook, Apple, and that's it. Okay, as opposed to where we came from off the lows here, everything. They bought everything. All right, and now that should tone down a bit. Even if the rally has longer to go, what I mean by that is that you will see more sectors now start to consolidate while other things are moving higher. Okay, and then the likelihood is the money may rotate from those hot sectors into some laggards. I'll give you an example. Like you saw the software names, unconscious, right? The tech names, a lot of them have been great. You got certain FANG names that haven't really done much. The banks, are grinding now, but really, where'd they go? So that's what I mean. They all rallied off the lows together. They all caught action. And now we're going to start to see groups outperform here and there. I mean, some of the stronger groups, believe it or not, are some of the safety groups. Like, look at this. Utilities, for Christ's sake. It's crazy. So, and I think that's where flow can also, more so sweeper activity, provide the edge. They'll tell us where the momentum is at that point in time. Okay, like for the most important, like we all look at for where sweepers may be rotating next, right? We all want to know that. Like that's right, something that's been dead. We want to see sweeper activity and come to life. Like that's a sweet spot. But also, like if you're day trading or short-term trading, the sweepers will give you an idea of where the momentum is for now. And that's important because if you were day trade or short-term trading in an Amazon, I mean, up until the last few days here, you really have done nothing. All right? You have done nothing. While there's been sweeper activity in other spots that have been doing the total opposite. So that's another way where, the sweeper activity will get your eyes, if you're paying attention to it and you got your eyes open, will get you paying attention to where the momentum is now. And if you're playing option, guys, all this stuff matters bigly. Okay? Options are the toughest thing in the game because not only do you have to be right on the direction, you're trying to predict when it's going to, you're placing a bet on when it's going to happen by. That's crystal ball trading, isn't it? Right? So, that's where this stuff can tilt the odds a little bit more in your favor on the timing aspect. Because if you're buying stuff that's not catching any sweeper activity and is stuck in consolidation, the stock doesn't even have to go lower and you lose your money. And that could get really frustrating. All right, so I think, again, I don't know, this market's been strong. Everything we've been seeing up till now tells me this market's going higher. Okay, that can change this week. But everything up until now has been picture perfect throughout this rally. Exactly what we were talking about, guys. If you remember in PFD, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly what we were talking about when we were asking the questions whether this low was legitimate. We got the answers, all the answers we wanted to see. Remember what we wanted to see really bottom first? Remember the group that really had to show strength and outperform? And nobody thought they were capable because they have so much exposure to China, to the trade deal, to the economy. Their numbers are a disaster. They're warning. Their comps are awful. They're dead. The semis are dead and buried, right? But if this rally was going to have legs and be real, the market had to tell us, the flow had to tell us that all that bad news that every Joe Schmo is talking about out there is already factored into the price. That's how you know if a rally is real or not. Right? Tell us all that bad news that all the riffraff are talking about the reasons why not to even look at these things. The market and the flow is telling us we know this already. It's done. That's why this stock did this for a year while the market was rallying. All right, so all the signs, my point is all the questions we were looking to get answers to, we were getting all the right answers. All right, and so now, regardless, I think, of the market as a whole, okay, and everybody wants to answer, is ES going higher? Is SPY going higher? That sort of thing. I think if you get wrapped up into that, you have your eyes closed to a lot of other things. Because I think we can even if the market does slow down, pull back, chop around, consolidate, because don't forget, we got the summer coming up too, right? It's not that difficult to see us chop around at the least in the summer. I mean, volume's already been abysmal in this market. Can you imagine in the summer? So my point is, even if we do that on the indices, there might be great opportunities in individual names and sectors out there. And that's what we got to keep our eyes open to. That's what we're going to have to keep our eyes open to. All right, so that's the basic, my feelings on the market. Again, I try not to get wrapped up into the prediction game too much. Like I said, all the evidence has been exactly what we were looking for as far as the rally, as far as there being opportunities on the long side for us. Okay, that's what we're looking for generally. You may want more, but you're not going to get answers like that. That's why a lot of people get into predictions. It's a losing feat. Here are the key signals. How do I blow? I can't blow this up. Here are some of the key signals we look at on a day-to-day basis with members. Okay, and it's pretty simple. It's all the stuff I mentioned ad nauseum, right? Flow and sentiment. When they both line up in our favor, that's the sweet spot. Obviously, it doesn't always land there, so we want to keep an eye on a day-to-day basis on where these things are at. Okay, sometimes there's a notable signal. Sometimes it signals nothing. Sometimes it signals just something to keep an eye on. All right, so as of now, again, I told you the flow, no complaints. Okay, even throughout the earnings, there was some mix and sloppiness throughout this quad witch week. That's totally normal. As a whole, flow has been bullish. More importantly, the sweeper activity has been pretty aggressive. What I will say is there hasn't been a lot of new names catching the best of action out there. All right, we'll get into that when we start getting into the names. I want to see new names, catch the impressive action. All right, so just a quick example. I don't want to see LRCX catch the fourth missile of the rally. Great. There was a pause. They're buying it again up here. They're buying it all over the place. I want to see some new names that are coming out of consolidation, coming out of setups, start to catch the quality. And that would be one of the stronger signals that the market has further to go, right? Tells us about the risk out there. But players, again, this is just speculation in the options market where they're utilizing leverage. This is not what they're doing on the equity side. So if they're aggressively sweeping new names in the option market, gives us a good idea of risk on. Okay, that's that cherry on top on what they're doing. All right, so that's what we kind of want to see going forward. We'll talk a little bit about that when we go over some of the action out there. But again, up till now, no signs out of the flow that are signaling any caution. Okay, the ETF flow, there's been some bombs in SPY, you guys know. A lot of money out there trying to play catch up that missed the rally. That's why, in my opinion, we're seeing those bombs go off. There's some crazy sweeps in SPY and stuff like that. Crazy. All right. But yeah, so flow, check mark up till now, everything is cool. Short-term trader sentiment this year, so you get an idea. Again, if you're a member, you know what the hell I'm talking about. If you're a non-member, I just want to explain it quickly. All right, so this here, this is some of our short-term trading signals, okay? So this is short-term, whether, day trading, intraday stuff, or swings for a couple days, weeks, short, weeks. I don't know, swing trading is even shorter these days. This is the stuff we want to pay attention to. All right, so when these things, and another thing, just to stress, even the members, when these things get hot, okay, that doesn't signal, again, a move to new lows or the music stopped and game over. Because I think what was happening, a lot of people out there, when they see these things heat up into highs on a plus 50 handle day on the S&P or 100 point move on the Nasdaq, they think like it's game over. But all it's telling us is that players are getting sloppy in the option market on the call side, and the likelihood is there'll be at least some sort of fade, breather, just to keep the bulls honest. Okay, that's what that means. And I think what a lot of people have been doing, the way they're looking at it, they're still stuck in the correction. Okay, so what happened was when we saw these signals light up red just a few times in the correction, that translated into new lows, right? So I'll give you an example. Like this, rallies like this, right? We used to see that short-term trader sentiment light up red. People thought the correction's over, we're going to new highs. Okay, and because we were in a different type of market, we were in a correction, it ended up translating into a lower move, new lows. Okay, so that doesn't mean in this now, which is a totally different animal, that you're going to get the same result out of that. That's what I think it makes so difficult for shorts, because if you're shorting, even if you got sentiment on your side, you might just get a breather like this. All right, or you got to try to catch this move here. Now, maybe in some names it's worth it, but this doesn't even do it justice. This is a lot harder to sit through than it looks. So until the evidence changes, until some of the stuff we look at changes, in my opinion, when these things light up, where am I? This is what happens to me. I get lost. When these things light up red or getting close to lighting up red, just chill out on putting on any new long exposure and see how the market reacts, see how the flow reacts. All right, so that's what that stuff means. It just gets you out of the habit of getting caught way too offsides with the rest of riffraff. That's basically what this stuff is helping us do. All right. Intermediate term sentiment, a lot of stuff getting hot, getting close to getting hot, I should say. Okay. And again, normal. I think it's normal because of the magnitude of the move, right? Basically, a lot of up days, a lot of green. You're getting to the point where even the bears are starting to lose hope, right? So basically, here's what we had going on. You had a market rallying here, and the bears, what were they doing? I'm shorting this move. I'm adding. And then right here, if you remember, we discussed this at length, this whole breather, okay? Everybody, and I mean everybody, was looking for a move lower. If you were bullish, we were too stretched, you want to pull back, right? If you were extremely bullish, you want to move lower to add to your positions or for another entry. And if you were bearish, that's it. This is 2001 to a T, my friends. 2008, we had a rally. Here's look at my 2008 analog. See that 2008 analog? Right? You guys laugh, but that's what was going on, right? That's exactly what was going on. So everybody and their mother was expecting a move lower, and nobody was positioned for a move higher. Okay, what happened? Here's your move lower. There was your move lower, sideways. And once the bulls realized, right, the buyers, the real buyers out there realized that there was no sellers, you got this. So all the shorts get squeezed, people chase, and you still had non-believers saying, oh, well, this market, I'm not chasing this. It's coming. We're going to get a test of the lows, no doubt about it. I'm not chasing this. So now what's starting to happen now, finally, all right, finally, and you heard me mention this a couple of times on my Twitter, the non-believers are starting to show up. The non-believers who didn't believe for a second that this rally had any signs of realness to it, that this was just a bear market rally. That's what they were saying the whole way up. Those guys, for the music to event, if the music's ever going to stop, those guys have to capitulate. It's the total opposite of this down here. Okay, remember this? You needed that capitulation where even the bulls say, forget this shit. This is, I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. Mnuchin's calling people up. I'm done. I'm not holding on to a thing. And you had that here. You don't believe me? Go look at any fund flow chart out there. They all capitulated into the holidays. All of them. Out. Mom and pop, you could have this market. I want nothing to do with it. So the same thing likely happens when you're at or near a top. All right. The last time you had, okay, it doesn't have to happen. There's been years where some of that money never got fully in. There's a difference between getting in a little bit and all in, right? That's what I'm trying to say here. Here, on the bottom here, you had all out, everybody out. People were selling along the way, but this here, you had all out, okay? The last time we had all in, you guys know, Steam Room members, because we were laughing at this, was right here. Remember that January? You want euphoria? That was euphoria. Do you remember that? You remember that January here, this move? My goodness. All right. That's the last time we had all in on all that positioning money. Everybody all in. All right. So all in here, all out here on the positioning money. So that was euphoria there. And to be honest, you guys remember, well, those of you who were around, all our sentiment indicators were scorched here. Done. This thing ripped right through all of that for another couple of weeks into the new year. You know, similar to the lows here. It was almost the exact same, in a way, how it ended, just on the opposite sides. All right, so the reason I ran through that for you guys, because I think that's what is missing on the sentiment front. All right, because you see this they're going to change no matter what. They're short term. They're going to move. Bull market, bear market. You're going to see green signals on pullbacks. You're going to see them get hot when people get a little too sloppy. Okay. The intermediate sentiment, same thing. Market gets a little too stretched out. Price action wise, you're going to start to see all that stuff get hot. Okay. The only thing left now is this right here, and that's the position sentiment. All right. And that's fund flow and COT data. All right. I got a couple of things I could show you on that front. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Didn't I put the squeezometer on here? I had the squeezometer here. You guys can look at it while I'm getting to the thing to post. Here's where the squeezometer closed on Friday. So just let me, not to jump around, the short-term indicators that we look at, any little fade, these things get washed out nicely because people think this rally is coming to an end. They've been thinking that since day one. Any little, right? Oh, this close is not good. I'm giving you all the lines. You guys are laughing because you hear this every day, right? Oh my God, this close is not good. We just gave back a quarter of the gains today. This is not good. Not good into a Friday. And it gets emotions and sentiment riled up, and it starts to show up in the option market. You know, so when you see this, which is totally normal on a Friday quad witch, when you see stuff like this and people are worried that it's the end, oh, this looks different, right? When you start to hear that, that's where these things for us, oh, I got to get better at this. That's where things like this for us start to line up again. So we went from, if the rally stretched into Friday's close, this thing probably ruins early next week for us, meaning we got to be careful, you know, on the long side, because the riffraff was chasing into the close. Now that fade on Friday, boom, right back to neutral. And what it tells us is there's no signal now on the center front. Any selling early next week, we're going to have sentiment on our side again for a trade. Right? And you can easily see that happen. Think about it. Close your eyes. Monday, the market gaps down a bit off some Trump-China tweet. People are going to be thinking, that's it. It's game over. Rally's dead. Shorted. You know, and that's where the opportunity lies for trades. Let me get now to, I know you guys are, a lot of you guys like this stuff. Hold on. All right. This now, I see the question already. So this is the perfect segue for that. I get the question, right? Who's been buying? Right? Who's been buying then? If everybody's selling, who's been buying? Hold on here. This is Nasdaq. I'll do one at a time here. I should have posted them all earlier, but I end up leaving it out when I do. I'd rather talk. All right. So this now is positioning in Nasdaq futures. Okay? You hear, and again, I know we talk about this a lot if you remember, but there's new people on here. The term smart money gets thrown around so much, right? So loosely out there. Everybody's smart money. Everybody. Somebody sees a block in IBM for $2 million. Oh, it must be smart money. Everybody's smart money that has money. And you know that can't be true. Okay? The definition of smart money in this game, these guys. Okay? That's when the people in this game refer to the smart money. They refer to the hedgers. Okay, that's where the term, in my opinion, that's where I learned it. That's where it comes from. Okay, because what they do when rallies get stretched and the spec money, the spec players out there, when they get too bullish, right? When they get bullish, what they do is they hedge their risk on the long side. All right. So what you usually see is as a market goes higher, they will add hedges. Okay. And then when weakness gets overpriced, when weakness is overextended to the downside and they feel it's been overdone, they take off their hedges. Okay. Now, sometimes what they do at what they feel are extremes, they get so aggressive in taking off hedges and putting on hedges that they end up being net long or short. And that's where they have real confidence, okay? Because that's not what they're trying to do. Okay, they want to be long while there's a bullish phase out there and want to hedge as things stretch to the upside. That's their thesis. All right. They don't want to be net long into strength. That's not what they want to do. So when you see this, okay, and we had, again, you could thank the government shutdown for delaying the data. So it was kind of late to notice this, to really catch the sweet spot. But this is Nasdaq. This is NQ, okay? You see this? All right, so look at what they've been doing this whole rally here. See how they ended up net short, right? Net short up there. You see that, right? Pretty clear. While everybody was bullish. Now, as the market comes in, they want to take off their hedges, and when they feel it's really been overpriced to the downside, they end up getting net long. Okay? And look what they did. They got aggressive as the market started to push higher, which is extremely rare. Extremely rare. You see how they took off hedges and ended up no hedges on into the lows. See that? All right. And as this market now started to bottom and turn around, usually what you see happen is they start putting hedges back on little by little. What they do? They stepped on the gas. All right. And now, okay, not much, but now you see they're starting to take off some of that. But from what I see, it doesn't look like anything noteworthy. But I mean, obviously we all want to see this go here. All right. But this was so unusual to begin with. This was so unusual to begin with. All right. Now, here's the beauty of it. Here's the beautiful thing about it. Okay. See this blue line? If this is the smart money, non-commercial, you know who they are. Okay. And I got another chart to show you with this. What have they been doing? They haven't participated in the whole move. See that? Look at this here. Non-believers. The specs have been non-believers. And look, see, it's starting to turn a little bit here. And that's what I mean. That's what we're starting to see now. The non-believers are starting to show their face. They believe. Not in the big way, but they believe. I got another cool chart I'll show you that pretty much, let me see, where is it? Oh, you know what chart I got to show you? Hold on, I got one. Yeah, all this stuff fascinates me. You guys know that. Hold on a second. All right. So here is a little cleaner version. Oh, come on. There we go. Of the spec money. Okay, that's what I just showed you, just cleaner, all one line there, right? Specs, all in, all out, into the lows. Now, again, this rally we just saw, what you usually see is this. See this? See how they capitulated, they got all out, and then as the market rallied, they rushed back in. That was this. We were just talking about that. January. That was the example I showed you guys with the market. Remember the top euphoria? That's what happened. Okay? Did that happen here? Guys, does anybody have any questions? You guys pretty easy, no? To see it? See how they didn't chase this rally at all as opposed to what they did into that January or they did here? Look, this is what usually happens. Okay, so all this stuff was confirmation at that spot where, again, you guys who are members know what I'm referring to, where we said that everyone's looking for a pullback. Everyone. Except these guys, the smart money. Specs, everybody else was looking for a pullback. So to answer your question, Gordon or whoever was asking the question, who was doing the buying? These guys. Crazy, no? Hold on. Let me show you something else here. Again, for those of you members, maybe Sunday we'll take a look at, I got a lot, you know me, I got a lot of other stuff that is interesting. Here, the bookies. Good call, Lonnie. That's what they are. They're the bookmakers, like bookmakers in Vegas. That's what they are. The smart money. Okay? They want to be, bookmakers want to be totally hedged. If the Giants are playing the Jets, the Vegas bookmakers want an even amount of money on the Giants and Jets so they get the VIG. That's how they make money. They don't like risk. But when the information is so strong, right? What do? They throw out a line that the public will like, right? If they got information the Jets have some sort of edge in the game, they'll throw out a spread, a line that'll allure money and look good to get public money on one side. Like, that's what they are, the bookies. Let's see what else I got here. Oh, here's one from Sentiment Trade. Oh, this is Fund Flow. I got two charts from Sentiment Trader I want to show you quick. Hold on. All right, so this is again, you don't want to trade off Fund Flow. There's no, like, most of the sentiment indicators out there at extreme are only useful, right? This is one you really want. This is not a trading signal, very rarely, okay? You can't look at fund flows every week and get an idea of where the market's headed. Sometimes, again, when there's huge outflow, there could be some turn over the short term, but I never really got into it as much as that. But again, this gives you a basic idea of here. This is what I was talking about. I was like, if you find the chart, okay? The lows, what's this? See that? Again, this is mutual funds, ETFs, everything. Okay? I think they said the highest degree, like maybe it was according to this, but outflow, I think it was even more so than 2008. It was something ridiculous. You couldn't believe it. You couldn't believe it. And again, here, what happened? Just to give you an idea. See that? Now, I will say this, even early on in the rally, that would be normal, guys. And a lot of times you get a market pause, but that doesn't mean Death Valley. But a lot of times the market will bounce like this, and you get a spike like this. You know, you get a spike like this here. Something like that. And that doesn't mean the market's dead. It just means the market might, you know, shake some people out and stuff like that. But we haven't even got that yet. I think this is updated. I'll double check that. Fascinating, right? I got one more for you. You guys know who I'm referring to here. One more that we all want to see what they're doing. What are they? You members I know could guess it. What crowd haven't we spoke about today that had, that's it, the hedge funds. What's up, DK? Well, that's what I said. Volume did not participate. Yeah, there's been no participation, DK. Nothing. Right. Volume has been awful, right? Awful. Where is this? Here's our beautiful hedge funds that have been one of the strongest contrarian signals out there. Okay. So I try to get it clear as dry because sometimes you can't make out what the hell they're doing. These charts are tough. All right. So basically looks like this. Okay. Hedge funds, you don't even want to fall in love where, you know, usually buy signal or sell signal. That's not important. Now, especially now, you want to see what's going on here. All right. A lot of times you see a rally like we just saw, all right, where the hedge funds did nothing but sell, and a lot of them had to, right? They go out of business. They got to liquidate. They got positions killing them. They got to raise money. All right. So it's normal to get hedge funds selling in a correction. But what usually happens when it gets to an extreme, okay, it's usually at a bottom. And when the market starts to rally, especially a rally like we just saw, you get this. They got to, and they have to. You hear it all the time. They got to chase performance, right? And trust me, I know because I had clients. Okay, I had client money. If I sat here and I watched this rally in the markets and I told my clients I was short or had no exposure to equities, you know what happens? I don't have any clients anymore. I'd be walking in every single morning to 8 cats on my desk every single morning. Huh? Wait a second. You don't have my money invested in equities right now? We're up 20% off the lows? What are you waiting for? So, as ridiculous, and this is where the managed money game is just structured in an awful way for clients to be successful. You're better. I learned this in my career as a broker, where I couldn't even swallow it. I was better off being wrong with everybody than run the risk of being right on the other side of everybody. You understand what I'm saying? I was better off for my clients if I was invested in this, because if it rolled over, everybody's invested in it. Well, you had this guy invested, your money was invested there, your money was invested there. Running the risk of not being a part of a rally like this on the long side, can't do it. That's what happens. People take their money back. All right. So what they usually do is they'll take that risk, right? They'll take the other side. And if they're wrong, massively capitulate and chase. Massively. And that's where we saw a little bit of that action late last week. So, and you can see here, you see what's going on here? A little bit. That's where we see all those sweepers. You see one after the other in the big names, right? LRCX up here catching action. When they need exposure, the quickest way to get exposure is to sweep, okay? So you start to see a lot of the repeat names just flow explode, okay? We haven't really saw that throughout this whole rally, right? That's what I've been telling you. The beauty of this rally has been the initial activity, the new names, the new buying. Wasn't chase. Last week were the first signs, and a lot of you guys mentioned it, right? You were like, Jesus, this is a little bit of chase flow here, isn't it? You guys, you know what I mean? Some of you have been around and notice it. We started to see the early signs of that chase. All right, but usually when this happens, it has a big effect on price action. It should, unless somebody's knocking the sell side to them, so it won't be as dramatic, the upside. But just to give you an example, this was, when was this? This was into that runaway here. Hold on, where they had to chase. Okay, so again, if you guys remember, it was a sick time. Remember at the end of the year, after the summer, before that January blow off, which was here, this is where the rally really was powerful. You know, up here, that's where everybody was kind of getting scared and worried because it got a little too crazy. But if you remember this lift here, okay, this here was the meat of that rally in 2017. And what a big part of it, in my opinion, a big part of it was the chase for exposure. You can see right here, look. See that? Now, good question. People are saying contrarians contrarians. Hedge funds are contrarian signal now. Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. They can move markets. They can have an effect on price. I mean, you talk about big money, especially if markets are illiquid. Okay, so when you get an exaggerated move like this, the likelihood is you're going to see a nice rally. All right, and when you see the opposite, right, this process here is going to weigh on price action. Okay, again, unless somebody's on the other side of that, you'll see some late day fades and that stuff. So, that's the beauty of it. It's contrarian, but as the process is happening, if these guys have to, if this comes out of this right now, you're going to see a crazy squeeze. You know, you're going to see a crazy squeeze. I'm talking about this type, this magnitude of buying. You know, maybe it just lifts a little bit, right? Then the market pauses and pulls back on their face and they get right down. There was, let me show you guys something. Where was it? I got the dates here mixed up or no? Let me see. November, December, January. So this was the December. Okay. So this was the December lows. Oh, this is 8? Yeah. I'm confused here. I'm trying to see. They bought a dip. I'm trying to see. Oh, it was this one right here. This wasn't January. This was this. Hold on. This is what I wanted to show you guys. You'll feel bad, though. You'll feel bad for them. You'll feel bad. This is October here. I'm sorry. So look at this. Ready? You'll feel bad after I show you this. You'll have a spot in your hearts for hedge funds. Okay? This. See this? They bought this. They started buying off this pullback. Okay? So look here now. You see that in mid-November? Watch. This is bad. Where is it? This is bad. Mid-November. Okay? So they chased into that rally and got caught in the avalanche. They got caught in the avalanche. That's pain, no? Buying like that. So think about it. They right here. So off this low, you can see, and look, that's what I mean. You see how the market, there's some strength there, right? They're going to create some strength there buying. And then what happens, you know, if this market falls apart on you, you get capitulation. This is this is 2019 right here, yeah. Now, MJ, this is the correction we were just in. The correction we were just in, right? The correction we were just in late last year. Yeah. The correction we were in just late last year. So that dip in October into November, they tried to buy into that dip, thinking they caught a bottom. And the market, that's where the market crashed. The market crashed on their ass. You understand? Right here. So right here, they bought this dip, they bought into that, and then whoop, they got shaken out. Which one? Oh, I don't have the longer term one from last week because then you can't make out. You couldn't make out this, MJ, and this is what I wanted to show you guys. You know, on the longer term one, you can't make out what was going on here. So I just wanted to show you guys that they've been creeping back in here. Hedge fund exposure. This or the other one? Oh, okay. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, I'll throw some other charts that pretty much show the same picture, but I just wanted to get the point across because a lot of you guys were fascinated by this and asking questions. Hold on. Do I have anything else on that there? I'll post them later. If I have anything else noteworthy enough, I'll post them later in regards to that. All right. But going back, this again goes all back into this here. Okay. Where the only thing missing was the positioning out there. And I think that's been the number one catalyst for the strength, you know, the number one catalyst for the strength. Number one catalyst. The positioning being underweight. So, and like I said, last week, a lot of like the COT data you get once a week. The hedge fund data, so random. Sometimes it's a couple days, sometimes it's a week lagged. That one that I just showed you was up to, what was it, 313, I think. 313. So a couple day lag. So it didn't show you the end of last week. Maybe Friday there was a little more buying. All right. So that's it. That's case closed there. Anybody have any questions? Hold on. I see people talking here. Let me get to some questions about this stuff. Hold on. Hedge fund money. No, hedge fund money is not the smart money. Not anymore anyway. They've been pretty bad for, honestly, since 2008, Sagar. Since 2008, hedge fund money has been pretty much dumb money. When it comes to extremes now, you got to understand, extremes. That's not every individual hedge fund, right? Like Tepper's still a Sharpie, but when they're all on one side of the boat, that's usually when there's a signal. Hey, Jay, so the commercial group from the other chart not the same as the hedge fund group from this chart? No. Again, that's a completely different boat than the commercial guys. Completely different boat. That's not a contrarian indicator. In other words, that's the answer to your question. Who was buying? These guys were buying. Okay? Hedge funds, mom and pop, specs, they haven't participated in this rally up until recently. In a small way, they haven't participated at all. That's a beautiful thing. I don't think, some of you may not realize, some of you may be new to the webinar. I know a lot of you who, the diehards here, know exactly what I mean, but some of you who are new don't understand the beauty, how much of a beautiful thing that is when you got smart money and retail money on two other sides of the spectrum. When you got that, that's the definition of a sweet spot. That's a definition of a sweet spot. And listen, even if the smart money at this point, well, now they stopped buying, right? They chilled out. But just in general, even if the smart money wasn't participating in such a big way, even if they were neutral, just the fact that the retail money wasn't involved bodes well for the market. Very, very rare is retail money going to capitulate and a market fall apart at the seams. Very rare. You need systemic crisis for something like that to happen. You know what I mean? And, another thing nobody talks about throughout this market rally, say what you will, what the reasons why. The one thing concerning that we were talking about was credit, right? That's the problem. That's the heart, the root of all evil. All right. When you start to see credit deteriorate out there, that's when the real problems start to manifest. Price action is just price action, guys. Right? People sell, people buy. Okay. So if this rally was rallying, right? Exactly. HYG the other one. If this market was rallying and this stuff wasn't participating, you might have a point. I might see where you're a non-believer. But if you're going to talk to me about, fundamentals and stuff like that, like I told you guys many times, throughout my career, every bottom has come when the fundamentals were awful or at their worst. Awful. There's never a siren going off. Up, all the fundamentals are turning here. Get your buy tickets ready. There's no such thing as that. And honestly, when you start, here's what I fear. Okay, like this is where I start to get cautious, and DK, you could probably relate to this. When I really start to get cautious, obviously flow, sweeper activity, all that stuff is the nail in the coffin, my confirmation. But as far as the noise out there, what starts to worry me, when we start to get good news and participation, right? We had bad news, no participation from retail money, hedge funds, etc., and constructive price action and flow. The perfect scenario. The opposite of that would be now you start to see fundamentals improving and you start to see the riffraff money now starting to participate off of that. Right? Normally you say, well, that's a good thing. No. That's not a good thing. Right? If you and I and the riffraff out there see that the fundamentals are improving, okay, and everybody's already invested, that's where usually you see price action start to get tired and exhausted, and then the smart money will be unwinding everything. Yes, and you see that a lot, right? Once you see the sweeper activity out there, right, and certain names start to fail, like you're not seeing what you should be seeing, the reaction you should be seeing, that's usually a telltale sign as well. MJ, you remember we were talking about that in the summer, right? Any sweeper we wanted to place, a trade on was just rolling over. Like those orders didn't even exist. Right. The signs were there and the market was doing the opposite thing. All right. So yeah, without a doubt. So that's why, you want to keep your eyes open. You understand, right? You keep an eye on short-term sentiment. You want to be prudent about things, especially if you're being nimble. Like, see, right now for me, I don't know about you guys, and then we'll get into some names. But for me right now, like I have swing positions. Okay. To be honest, I lightened up my exposure into this here. Okay. I didn't put all that exposure back on. But for me, the short-term trading out there has been so rewarding that I'm good with that right now. You understand? I'm good with that right now until they force me to buy something for a swing. You understand? And I'll give you an example like that. I'm not just talking about intraday. I'm talking about even just tactical trades. You take any, you take any action recently that was pretty decent, and there were some moves, tradable moves out there. I'll give you an example. Amazon. Everybody wants to catch the big move. Amazon was a great trade intraday. Amazon was a great trade yesterday intraday with a lot less risk. Yeah, PFD, you caught it. A lot of people caught it. But I'm saying, right? That was a great trade. Paul, what did you what'd you trade those for? I remember Tim talking about I don't know if the calls he played or whatever. You paid $1.50 to 9, the weeklies? Jesus Christ. $1.50 to 9. I didn't know that. I didn't think they were that good. Wow. But you know what I mean? That everybody wants the big hit and all that stuff. And for me, like, I like to put the most risk on. Like, I try to catch the bigger bulk of a move when things are perfectly set up for me. And that would be, I got sentiment at or near my side. The setup, the spot. You hear me talk about the spot on the chart, that setup. The market's coming off a consolidation or pullback. Like, you have all the wind at your back. And like for me, if that's not there and with a lot less risk, I can take advantage of shorter term moves. Why not? Right? Why not? So you can be prudent about it. Right? You can be prudent about it. If you think this market gets a little tired here, all right, just be a little quicker. Be a little quicker. Be aware of where you're buying things. Be quicker. Don't be greedy. And they're giving you that. The market's giving you that now. The market's giving you that. Like we're seeing it all over, from big names to like ABBV, right? Like this was the picture perfect spot to catch action. Picture perfect spot. So even you guys know I day trade the equity a lot, but even if you're not trading intraday, you get an ABBV at a spot like that, you see some action, you get in for a short-term move, and whatever the market's willing to give you, you take it. Yeah, that spot is beauty, right? That spot is beauty. You're not chasing, right? It's testing lows. Well, you may be uneasy about whether it's still in consolidation or still trying to form a bottom. And then the round of sweeper activity tilts the odds, in your favor. That momentum may turn to your side. Now, again, I get the question, does ABBV fill this whole gap? You need other things to go right for that to happen, right? If the market comes in, if the market pulls back, can ABBV push through weakness? Yeah, it's possible, but it's a lot easier when everything's on your side. The market's giving you this trade right now, without a doubt. This Amazon, the market's giving you these trades. I mean, there's been so many. The bad part of Boeing, like Boeing, you guys love to play that name, right? Especially you love to play that name. You get sweeper activity into weakness. That's your fire there. Again, Boeing, I get, they have trouble. They're ground these, but all that's irrelevant. What that flow was telling you was you're going to get a turn for a trade. That's it. You're getting a turn for a trade here. Can there be more of that? Of course, but you gotta take on more risk, And like PFD, you and I have been talking about these semis, right? This whole way. There's been other entries. Like the reason you and I are so pissed is because the sweet spot there, we missed. You know what I mean? That's what pisses us off so much. The sweet spot, the first sector, you guys remember, off earnings to really light this market up was these things, and these things can move. You guys know these semis. Now up here, this thing is still catching action. Ridiculous action. Can it go higher? Yeah, but this is like a total other animal now. You know what I mean? Totally other animal. ZS, all these names, these are different species now. Right? ZS was a name nobody even knew about in the software sector. Early in the rally, catch and flow, catches a December missile. The first batch of quality action in the name. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There's trades everywhere, especially off weakness, and you got to understand that, right? Disney. I mean, I was shocked. I made money. Like Disney's not a name I get excited to day trade. But Friday, sweeper. You knew there was juice there, right? There was juice for the past couple of days there. The likelihood there was going to be momentum there for the now. It does. It looks good longer term, without a doubt. But the less risk was taking advantage of the now. And again, it doesn't always have to be day trading. It could be flipping of positions. And if you're playing options, that's not a bad thing. Okay, that's not a bad thing where we are, because the longer you're holding options, the more risk you're taking on, obviously. Right? All right, let's get to a couple names Motley Fool gassing up ZS now, Gordon just said, right? I mean, ZS, nobody knew who they were. By the way, there was a software name definitely to keep an eye on of some small initial activity. Gordon, did you get that symbol? I got to give you that symbol. We'll look at it. Another under the radar software name. Let's get to some action here. All right. Friday's call sweepers. We'll get to that. Where's the top bets? Here are the top bets. All right. So basically, if you're a non-member, I do at the close every day. I like to put stuff on here that I'm strongly considering for a trade, meaning initial activity at a decent spot. But when there's some impressive orders out there that I know you guys are like to trade the name or are in the name, I'm going to throw them on there as well. All right. So they're not all, so you don't get the wrong impression, not all things I would trade, or they're not buy signals. Okay. They're just the top orders on the day. This was Friday. So here's the LRCX. This is the fourth cannonball since the rally has started. I mean, you talk about getting all in. This is getting all. Look at this order. You kidding me? And like I said, early in the rally, oh my, there was $700,000 sweeps. They were ridiculous orders. Yeah, I mean, AS, you know my style. For me, I can't. You know what I mean? I can't. You see off the niner there, like you had an opportunity here off the pull if you were eyeing the name for like a secondary entry, but now, even off that bet, I can't. It's not initial activity, so even though it's a huge bet, you can't weigh it the same way. Because the reasoning, there already has been really sharp action in the name at lower levels. Could be the same group. Could be the same group. So again, what I say about this is it's just more of a preference thing. It's up to you. Okay. The quality, it's not as sharp as the early action that we saw in the name, but significant notable order nonetheless. The semis, it was unbelievable. Off the open, there was some signs of it Thursday. They came after every semi they could possibly get their hands on. A lot of it's spec action. But you name a semi, it caught action. This MRVL got a pump also. Except for Micron, right? MRVL got a pump from the Nigerians, so that added to the total action there. All right, but looks the same as most of the semis out there. It's a slower mover, but some noteworthy action on Friday. Here's another Boeing order. They were buying into some red there. April 5th, 400s. This was about 280 grand when the stock was 377, call it, on Boeing. There was one Boeing June sweep into weakness on this day right here on the 7th. That was the best order of the bunch. Where'd this thing close? 378. So off the highs of 385. Yeah, fake news, exactly. Came after fake news. All right, but yeah, keep an eye on Boeing into weakness because sweepers are buying into weakness. Here's the Amazon order. There was, I think, another one as well that was part of this. There was a little more volume there. So March 22nd, 17 tens. This was 1,700,000. Stock was 1705, call it 1706. Amazon. So that was off this, right? Off this consolidation, I think. This was the ramp. And then the market and a lot of other stuff faded and then bounced into the bell. But that was the order there. Oops, again, confused here. This one I got my eye on. I day traded it, didn't really go anywhere. And I'm looking for a squeeze there. I would like to see more spec action, believe it or not. This was a decent bet, $400,000 sweep. This might be the worst stock on the board, by the way. Okay? The worst stock on the board. Maybe that's why I like it. Look at this nightmare. My God. All right, so why do I like it? Since it looks so bad, for that exact reason. Okay, this thing has been littered with put buying for ages. Okay, for ages. And yeah, down here catches a niner, which obviously this niner meant nothing. I don't want to buy it. But then all of a sudden, you got a decent looking sweep come in here. Okay, so that's heads up that there may be a pickup in sweeper activity. All right, I'll give you an example. CVS. Okay, if you remember, there was blocks, leaps. There was like Jan 2021 calls, stuff like that. Then there was one sweep that was legitimate. Okay, there was one August sweep. There were several of them, but one that initially caught my eye. And then it was just a heads up right there. Pay attention. There may be more sweeper activity coming in to get this thing moving a bit, right? Squeeze a bit. And that's what happened. Okay. And again, there could be more upside from here, right? This flow stays bullish, blah, blah, blah. But for me, like, this is what I like. I like, trying to find a bottom dead and then that flow flip where sweepers are grabbing the ball. Okay, again, it's not, I throw the word flow around too much. I shouldn't. It's not flow. It's sweeper activity. That's what gets things moving. Again, sweepers, momentum. That's what you got to think. Blocks of 2021 leaps. Nah. What's that going to do? A bullish order here or there, straggler. Especially in a name like this, it's not going to stop the bleeding. It's hard to explain. Like, they just have that look to them. It looks like a real bet. Because you never know. Could be shorts, protecting, locking in some gains, right? Could be anything. Like, you want a legitimate sweep. CBS caught a couple. I think it was right around here, if I remember correctly. And, CTL caught one to get our eyes on it. So keep an eye on the flow there. Where am I? Okay, so that was the top bets on the day. We'll rip through some of the other wise guy sweeps. There were a ton of them. Microsoft, do we need to talk about the story there? Unbelievable action earlier on in this rally. I mean, Microsoft I own the freaking thing down here off that nice spot. You guys remember that one day where they just bombarded it? The flow hasn't stopped. The flow hasn't stopped since, right? Just recently, they were hitting those April 5th strikes, even into this pull. And then, this thing just keeps going. You see, this is one, and it's a bigger name where I got to get better at. Yeah, Maria, see, I got to get better at doing that, giving a leash to it. Because I know I'm not going to play any of the tack-on action at higher levels. That's just not me. I can't do it. So I just got to at least try to give a longer leash to some of these bigger names, these quality names. Like these Microsoft, these CRMs, when they catch action at a decent spot and you're impressed with the action, fine, you got to trade there. But, these things are animals, So basically, I'm treating Microsoft action at a good spot, CRM action at a good spot, like I'm treating ABBV at a good spot, or like I would treat a CTL at a good spot, you know, just for a trade. Where I got to get better at, you know, some of the more quality names that catch a lot of buying. Yeah, this CRM, they buy the dip every single time. Every time. Every time. It's been a beast for a long time. You know, I remember where this thing couldn't get out of its way. And believe it or not, guys, it didn't catch a lot of flow back then. Back here. See this? CRM would catch action rarely, and it would be like a good looking bet, and it was a great trade. It would never catch the action that it catches now. That was all back here. And then, you know, just software, I guess, as a whole, just went bonkers. Did I mention any shop sweepers? There might have been a sweeper at some point there. I don't know. There's been so many damn sweeps, you know, throughout this whole rally. I can't tout every single one of them. So here, where were we? My SNE. This thing had a dip again. I had this for a swing trade last month at one point. You know, again, not the same type of action. SNE, was Sony into this gap down. They literally nailed the lows, caught 3 good-looking sweeps that day, and then was up every single day after that into a niner and in breather mode now. So there's been this kind of type of flow. Yeah, they caught the exact bottom on that, Gordon. You're right. This type of flow in it, you know, smaller sweeps, 70 grand. So not the same quality, but you know, it's stuff to keep an eye on if you're looking to buy the dip off a secondary entry there, you know? That's what they're for. Microsoft PCG. Again, this is just a lot of Sharpies have been buying this name for a while. Off the lows. Oh, Niner, geez. Oh, she busted through this thing. You know, just had a steady lift in this thing. More of a grinder now. But this is all repeat action in the utility. Microsoft MTG, June 13th. What is that? Mortgage? Is that what I'm thinking? MTG? Yeah, mortgage name. Whoops. Interesting look. Look at that rally off the lows. Guys, a lot of stuff like this. These cheaper names, right? What was this? $10? Just incredible rallies, man. Incredible rallies. What else? Wise guy action. Let's see. Best. That's a cheap one. PBR. I think that rolled. I looked at that. Here it is. This is the name, Gordon. That's the software name. Again, sweepers, they bring, not everything trades options, obviously, but they get your eyeballs, especially in the software group. Look at this, FIVN. So this is a software name I never heard of. I don't know if you guys ever heard of. The key name is software. And once you start to see sweeper activity in this, you got to pay attention because there may be more to follow. This thing's had a rally. This reminds me of the ZS, just not as good as the spot. You know, ZS caught that action. Yeah, then caught more action, then caught the December missile, and goodbye, good night, Irene. Or remember this one? RNG. Little sweeper activity, nobody ever heard of. So if you're looking for those under the radar type plays, whether you're playing equity or whatever the case may be, because listen, if you see a ZS type bet in this for like a couple $100,000, she's gone, and it may be too late. And the likelihood is they might not even catch it. They might not even catch it. Again, the small, I think open interest in this name is total 1,000 contracts. But there's been some big time winners out of this. Another one, Gordon, you remember this one? I think there were a couple $25,000 sweeps initially. Hubs. Stock was what, 85.90? Software, nobody heard of it. It's 180. All right, so anybody who plays equity out there, FIVN, a software name to add to your screen. Let's see, what else we got? Cisco, they've annihilated that thing. The stock doesn't go down anymore, Cisco. Comcast saw some size action, but it could just be replacing some of the March exposure. But looks strong. Look at this. Caught a big bet Thursday. This is not my cup of tea, though. Up here, they were buying Comcast Leaps back in the day, but that was at the lows a long time ago. Let's see what else we got here. FCX, that always catches a little flow. Oh, here's some Netflix spec sweeps into next week. Oops. Where the hell's my chart? Here it is. She looks like she could bust out, market permitting. And if you're not in, especially you get a dip, some red there, and you see some sweeper activity, that's your go. If you're looking for just a trade out of it, that's even better, just in case she does this grind, if you're going to play shorter term stuff. But she might bust it out. Keep an eye on the action there. I wouldn't be talking about it if the action didn't catch my eye. Look at a couple of them. March 22nd, April. This guy was the guy I'm unsure about. Because if this guy was clean, then I would tell you to roll the dice there if you were interested in Netflix. That's the bet. I don't know how clean he was, though. But some other decent action around it. Let's see. Oops. Mostly for next week. The aggressive action. The April guy I'm not sure of, so we'll check it out and see. Open interest. Cree, that's another name that's been catching action. Semiconductor. Busted out the new highs. Some big bets in this Cree. Again, all the semis. NXPI. She looks like she still has upside. Caught some big Jan action. I think that was a month ago or so. But all the semis have been catching flow. Snap, I actually rolled. Well, I took profits for the most part. I rolled a piece on Thursday. So I got out of this Snap. Again, I left a piece, but I sold it. Yeah, Snap was a good trade. And listen, Snap is something I usually, especially spot-wise, and well, forget the name, spot-wise wouldn't play, but I had no choice. And that was right here, right? That was over here, somewhere over here. I had no choice. There was one day in Snap where it might have been the action of the year, how aggressive it was. Nonstop. Tripping over themselves, right? On a Friday, out of nowhere, just tripping over themselves before the bell. They couldn't get enough of it. So I remember what I did is I played the common, and then the stock had a lift the next couple of days, and I sold the common, I put it into calls, and then I just sold the calls. Yeah, but spot wise, that's not something I'm looking for off a gap up. But the flow, that type of flow like that, I had to play it. I had to. They forced me into it. Microsoft, more flow, CTL. This is another bet here. Oh no, that's the bet. I'm on the wrong thing here. God dang. What'd I do? Hold on, bear with me. Oh, here it is. I doubled it up. I put the top bets back on here. Amazon, we went over. Boeing, Marvel. I put the best bets on top of this. What an idiot I am. I doubled them up. Oh, PayPal. They buy this thing every day. I had PayPal, like a lot of you, for a swing once upon a time off this rally. I actually bought PayPal into the correction. Over here, remember? There were some good-looking sweepers. And then I got out of it over here. See what I mean, Maria? This is what I'm talking about. Like names like this. Yeah, I just never give a leash to for some reason. Yeah, you still have PayPal, see? That's what I got to get better at. Yeah, but that's all right. You sold some of them, but you still have exposure to a name like that. It's a quality name. Caught a ton of action too. So yeah, those are the other wise guys. Some of the other wise guys sweeps around the top orders. Let me get to a couple of your names now. Oh God, you guys have been writing here. While I'm talking, you guys write. I don't see what the hell you're saying. Hold on, let me see. Throw your names out there. We'll look at a couple of your names. There's obviously been a ton of interesting names. APC, I've been getting a lot of questions on that. Maria, if it wasn't energy, I probably like it even more. The action's been okay. I love the spot. I traded it, Maria, off this low here, if you remember. But yeah, if it wasn't energy, I'd probably be in it. But these energy names are always rub me the wrong way when there's other action around. But maybe they rotate. Maybe they MJ. You know what I'm talking about. They drive you nuts. DVN, DK, yeah, that caught some action. Looks pretty good. And what was the other one you mentioned? MRO, which is just molasses. It's so slow, but MRO caught just as good as action as any of the energy names. The problem is this thing is slow. I mean, I can't even stress how slow MRO is. Really slow, really slow. It's kind of like in the rig department, So I guess if you're in the mood for it, you got to have patience with it. You definitely got to have patience with it. DK saying large insider buying. Interesting. By the way, insider buying. How about this bad boy? That was a nice little trade. ATVI. We also had the, yeah, Paul, you nailed that one. Take two, saw some buying, a little buying into the close, small sweep. And I am still in EA. Now, I will say this, though. Okay, maybe that's why I'm not as antsy as some of you. I did roll EA. In other words, I played the same line as the missile. If you remember, you guys know, I told you this. I played the same line as the missile, and then the pop, we got the pop the next day. I don't know if you guys were aware of it. A lot of those calls moved. Nice. So what I did was, what I roll up into? I don't know what the hell. I stood in June, but I rolled up and just laid less wood. Because they were expensive premium, the ones I played. All right, so I still, yeah, MJ, out of the money for a cheaper strike. So maybe that's why I'm a little more patient than you guys. But June missile, still looks good to me. You know, still, but listen to me. You know, I sound like a broken record, but I know it's tough. But I'm telling you, I work on this every day. It's going to help you. You worry about the opportunities you're going to miss out on, but it saves you from getting into trouble. You can buy EA, even though you know the June missile was a couple of weeks ago. You can play EA off action, but just buy it into red. If it's not red, give it a couple minutes. It's that type of stock. You know what I mean? If you're going to chase EA up to, you're going to drive yourself insane. Trust me, insane. It's that type of name. Exactly, MJ. If it's green, you know, listen, there's going to be a day it's green when it busts out, right? If it busts out, there's going to be a day it's green and it goes, okay? But that's one day. All the other days, this thing is just shaking people left and right. All right, so if you're not in it already in June's for more upside, then, you know, for trades, you're looking to buy red, okay? And like Tim, option trader, said the last time, if you were in EA for a trade, you had to trade. If you're looking for more, then you have to be patient and let it happen, especially in a crazy name like this. And here, okay, here's an example. This one too. This is no better. ATVI, if you were in it for a trade last week, you got the trade. You know what I mean? You got it. Pat yourself on the back, pay yourself, move on. If you're looking for a bigger move, and honestly, ATVI didn't have flow for a bigger move, but let's pretend, then you got to be okay with giving this profit back. You know, you're willing to accept the more risk for the higher reward. So you got to be aware of these things, you know, because it matters, especially in options. It matters, you know. But everyone, and trust me, I've been there, but it's something I worked on my whole career. You worry about something running away from you, but if you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, it's one stock. It runs away from you, right? LRCX, PFD ran away from us. We're pissed off. What are we going to do? I mean, it ran away from us and then some. Okay? You get pissed off about it, but you can't let it affect, you know, other trades, your entries. You can't let it get to you. You know? I'm patient to a fault. And again, think about it. I got 20 plus years that I've been training the brain for it. So, but for me, it's to a fault where like Snap caught that action. You don't understand mentally how difficult it was for me to buy that thing because it wasn't my spot. Just one name at not my spot. You know, because I realized early on in my career the importance of trying to, you know, the entry at the right time with options. You can't worry about the one name running away from you. There's so many opportunities out there. There's so much flow out there. You know, if the market's not good and there's no flow, be patient. It's coming. It's just a matter of when. But you need you're going to learn the hard way, and that's the definition of getting chopped up, right? You hear so-called, in quotations, traders talking about it's just chop. That's what they mean. That's what they mean. They're getting chopped up because they're buying, they're chasing green, they're chasing the highs, and then the stock is just caught in some consolidation, and they're stopping themselves out into red. That'll drive you insane. So just think of it logically. Instead of chasing green and stopping out into red, why not buy red and trim it into green? No? Does that make sense? Again, it's easier said than done, but you just got to be aware of it. You have to be aware of it. You have to be determined to work on it and put it into action. If you don't put it into action, it's useless. You know? If you don't put it into action, it's useless. like for me, it's become, I realized that it was so important in my career. Like I said, I do it to a fault now. The spot is one of the most important things. LRCX catching a $3 million missile up here as opposed to down here is night and day for me off the same order. Night and day. Because I know down here, the riffraff is not a part of it. You know what I mean? The more the riffraff, the more they're going to throw you around like a rag doll. That's my experience anyway. So that's my EA rant, and a lot of names apply. Twilio, a couple of you guys throwing that out. Somebody downgraded them on Friday. How dare they? Twilio. This thing's a rocket. As long as the market hangs in, this thing goes higher, Maybe some breather at some point, but the market just, over the short term, continues to do what it's been doing. This thing's going higher. Now, some of the other names, like this name has been hot, don't get me wrong, but at least there's been some order to it. The stuff that worries me is, when stuff starts to get a little too crazy, but these were under the radar, Nobody knew about them. Like, there's a couple of regrets. Here's another one too. SE. Look at this. No sellers. This thing just went parabolic, announced an offering. They sold puts into the offering weakness. And there's not a pullback to be found. Nobody knew this symbol existed off that activity down here. Look at. Do you see that where it was? Okay. As sharp as activities you're going to see in the name. Risk reversal, bull combos, sweepers, put sellers. Look at that beauty. So like now, for example, okay, for a trade, they sold puts into the weakness off the secondary. All right. And they swept some smaller calls. But, it was red. For a red to green trade, it's worth a trade. Up here, this is what I'm saying I can't do. I cannot build a position up here. I can't do it. Especially when the initial activity was down here. I can't do it. So that's the difference for me. A trade, if she's red and you see sweepers come into that red, you got a snapback trade. You know what I mean? But, this is, come on. I can't. This is strong as can be, but I can't buy it up here. If you're in it and you're holding it, I agree with that 100%. And again, trade red to green. Yeah, there was put sellers up here too. So it may hang out up here at the least. Incredible action. One of my biggest regrets off this rally, SE. I got a couple, not too many. LRCX is up there, but SE is a bigger regret. ZS, big regret. I told you guys in the room, ZS, okay, there was a period of probably, I would say a week straight, where I put my head on the pillow and I said, you know what, tomorrow morning I'm just buying ZS. And I came in and I didn't buy it. And then I went to bed that night and said, you know what, maybe if there's weakness, I'm going to buy ZS December's. I gotta own it. It's going to bother me more if it goes and I don't own it than if it fails. And I never bought it. I never bought it. So those are regrets. SE I traded, but not for the type of action that SE had. That should have been one of my biggest hits this year. So we all have our regrets. What are we going to do? What other names? Anybody have any other groups out there Yeah, Xilinx has been red hot. Any other groups that they're looking at? The banks interest me. I own currently JP Morgan. I'm in September's. I don't own any other bank. I don't usually like to own too many banks, but I would have bought another one. I didn't. Citigroup, some of the best action recently, Citi and Morgan Stanley. Bank of America. Now, the thing with the banks is this. This is why I like the banks here. They've been lagging, okay, but in a good way. You had the rally, off of here, right? So, like I'm telling you guys with a lot of the stocks out there, I'm not buying this off this. I can't do it. So I need this or I need this. And then action, right? And then action to tell me that they're still in play. So the banks have been catching action. And on top of that, you want to talk about under own. If we talk about the hedge funds and the fund flow, all that stuff, if they have to own the banks, if they have to chase the banks, these things are gone. I don't care fundamentals. I don't care what. If these banks start to push away from them and that's something they have to own when they run, that's where the big move can come from. When that happens, that's the $1 million question. But I could tell you just early last week, I showed you guys the charts. The bank flow, they had capitulation in the financial fund flow. Recently, they got out of the banks. Recently. So, this is one group where if they want to cool off some of the overheated stuff out there and over the heated stuff and rotate. Yeah, again, Havana, that's, no disrespect to you, but that means nothing to me. 10-year rates and all that stuff. That's like people telling me the semiconductors, China was decelerating and the semis earnings are going to be bad and awful. We all know that, Havana. We all know the banks, there's no reason to own them. What's the reason? But it's all positioning. Nobody owns them. That's exactly what I'm telling you. Nobody owns the banks. So what do you think is going to happen if these banks start to push to the upside? They have to own the banks if they're moving higher. They got no choice. They have no choice. What are they going to say? We passed on the bank rally because they were only trading below book value. That's not the way the game works. Yeah, and that without a doubt. And that's what could happen too, Havana. You know what I mean? They rotate into the banks and they keep this rally lasting longer here. Very easily could happen. So again, it's just positioning, positioning, sentiment, and flow. Again, I'm not taking shots at any of you guys that I follow all that stuff too. But macro stuff, fundamental stuff. But if you and I see it, the stock already knows it and has already worked it off. You know what I mean? If you and I see something and are concerned about something, it's in the stock. No doubt about it. If it wasn't in the stock, you would see the stock continuing to sell and it wouldn't be obvious to us. The information wouldn't be. I'll give you an example, okay? In Havana, how many times did they pump the banks on what station? Every single day as these things continue lower, right? The fundamentals are good. Rates are going up. The rates were going up, Havana. Remember? They were worried about rates going higher. You don't remember 3%? Oh my God, we're dead. And what was going on? They pumped the banks every day. You got to buy this dip. You got to buy this dip. Got to buy this dip. And then that's it. Capitulation with everything else. Okay. And now what's happened, you've had a rally and they're trying to outsmart the market now. Okay. Instead of participating in it, they've sold into this. They're trying to outsmart the market. All right. We think we're going to get the banks at a lower level. So what happens is if this thing starts to go like this, they have to have bank exposure. They have to. You know, these funds have to own banks. They can't be out of them. And then you get that chase, you know? Then you get that chase. And you know, it may not make sense at the time, but that's, you know, it's ridiculous if you ask me, but that's the way that game works, you know? We just went over all the positioning, the whole market as a whole. You had people, you know, throughout this whole rally. I mean, let's be honest. Besides the Fed, right? Besides the Fed, which is not really fundamentals, was there a reason for the market to do what it's done right here? Fundamentally, the fundamentals deteriorated. China comes out with a new economic number every day that's worse and worse and worse. We've been hearing about a trade deal happening for the past 6 months. You know, but eventually the market factors all that news in, you know, and a sign of it being factored in is when you got bad news and price actions going the other way. You know what was a good sign too, Havana? The banks, was it last week or the week before? People were expecting weakness, right? Wasn't the Fargo guy, Goldman Sachs, going in front of Congress or whatever? Maxine Waters and all that stuff. And they've actually rallied through that. So that's a good sign. But we'll see what happens. Again, I'm not a bank fan. They're my least favorite sector to trade. I swear. Banks. Least favorite. Well, energy, then the banks. You know, energy, then the banks. But as far as a trade, things will line up. I would like to see even more aggressive flow. I think that's going to be the ticket. And I'll give you an example. You guys know what I'm talking about. When they buy Bank of America, Havana, you know, when that chase starts to happen, you're going to see Bank of America sweepers. See this board? It's going to be all Bank of America. All Bank of America. Literally. You guys know, right, Ryan? Every sweeper on the board, Bank of America, Bank of America, Bank of America. They go bananas. The machines, the fun. It's like somebody got their finger stuck on a buy button. That's where it starts up. Now, they may be already moving, because look, you know, they're starting to move a little bit now, so they already be moving. But that's going to be your confirmation that they're in play. They're scrambling for exposure. So if you really don't like the banks, I can't blame you. You know what I mean? If you want to wait on that, you may be a little late, but you'll have momentum on your side. You know, you just don't want to be too late and chase a move. You know, me personally, I rather lose my money in consolidation. You know what I mean? I rather buy in consolidation, betting that momentum is going to come in, rather than buying into the momentum already. But that's just a preference thing for me. All right, guys, I got to bounce. I got to, believe it or not, you guys know, I got seven dogs. 7 dogs. Who's going to the vet? The little puppy's got to go to the vet. I got groomers. I got this. I got that. My life is all about the canines these days. So I got a couple things to occupy my weekend here. Yeah, it's a little crazy. But be good, DK. Good to see you, everybody. PFD, Maria, Trey, William, all you guys, Havana. Maybe Sunday we'll pop on if you guys are around. Watch futures open, and we'll look at some of that sentiment stuff. Maybe around like 6 o'clock for futures. All right? All right, guys. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the weekend.